That's a little bee. Wow. Ugh. Hello, everyone. It's so good to be able to speak to you because I've had so many emails and messages on different social media platforms inquiring as to how well we are, have we survived the storm? And thank you so much for just thinking about us. It just means a lot, and it's really lovely to think that when things are going on like that, that there's somebody out there thinking about us and saying prayers and lighting candles. It's just really wonderful. So thank you so much. So yes, we have survived the storm. It was very, very bad. This was knocked over, as you can see, and we've had a few little trees that have been spun around by the wind and uprooted. And I can show you those as we're going around the garden. Polytunnel plastic has been ripped off, and the worst thing for me was that a little rowing boat that I got lol for Christmas. Usually they're perfectly safe upside down on the shore. Unfortunately, this time it wasn't safe and it was taken up and smashed on the rocks. So we'll have to start again with that dream. Our little trellis here has been blown over, but the other one hasn't been. So the wind is a very strange thing. For example, on our front doorstep, I've got a couple of plant pots and I've got various little ornaments. And one of them, which was weighed down with a big stone, the stone was taken off it and blown away, and the ornament was tipped up. And yet others right next to it were untouched. So you just can't tell what the wind is going to do. It's a very strange phenomenon. And even looking at the trees, you find one knocked and the others standing around it perfectly secure. So this little willow, which had from previous storms, it had been twisted around and it was making a beautiful shape. Unfortunately, it's been pulled out. So I've been just started to coppice this down and hopefully it will come back. But it was one of the worst storms we've seen here. Fortunately, the house was intact, and but other people have lost roof tiles. The main thing was the loss of electricity and the obviously the lack of internet. And because most people just have mobile phones these days, and we couldn't use those either. So I don't know what has happened to poor old people who might be living alone and vulnerable because they can't even call for help. So it is a bit of a disaster, but it's definitely not a natural disaster because even though the wind is a natural phenomenon, if the country was run properly, we wouldn't have had this infrastructure problem. And that's a huge topic to go into. I'll just say it's the people themselves in Ireland who have been rallying together, setting up hubs where people can get showered and get a hot cup of tea. And it's the government actually went on holiday, if you can believe that, during a national emergency. They just went off on holiday. So, we don't need the government because everybody's getting on okay. Just goes to show how useless they really are. But I think the worst thing that I think happened for people were those in the all electric houses, which is a new green policy to save the planet. And yet, there's people still without power over a week later, and they have children, or they're elderly, or they may have some illness to contend with, and they're without power. So, shame on our government for sure. And just I'm on a bit of a rant now. The other thing about our government is they tend generally to keep putting down the people. We're ignorant, we're stupid, we're right wing, we're this, we're that, and yet we've shown to ourselves and to everybody else that people pull together at times like this more so than the government, who are only interested in themselves. But enough about that. Um, in a way, I suppose when the trees come up like this after a storm, they were obviously quite weak, and it's just part of nature that these things happen, even though it's incredibly sad when you see something that you've been looking after and it's been growing. It's one of your children, so to speak. It's very sad to see it have to be taken down. But trees will rejuvenate and they will grow again. So perhaps there was some necessity for it. I don't know. But one of the benefits is we do have extra wood now for the fire. We're a bit disappointed because of the polytunnel, because we had just replaced the plastic after it had been taken off in a previous storm. And so that's another job we have to do again. But again, we're very, very, very lucky here. Considering we actually were hit first, we took the brunt of the storm. I think we've probably had less damage than the Midlands and further inland, because the Sitka spruce forests are dotted around the Midlands more so. And I suppose the wind, there isn't much to stop the wind here, so it just kind of went through. So we still have all of the wood that I'd coppiced earlier to be put through the shredder, along with this new stuff from the storm. But our solar panels would be more than able for that. But because we've had such grey skies and we've had torrential rain, we couldn't risk using our electricity for a job like that, which can wait. So we'll have to do that as the spring is moving on. But another problem is the torrential rain, because we're a sea of mud out here. Yeah, so one of the issues with our garden is we need proper paths, because in the winter time it gets incredibly muddy, and after this latest bout of torrential rain, we're slipping and sliding everywhere. So we had just started just there before the coppicing, I think, and we're waiting for some stone to be delivered to fill this path. And we have a little bit of gravel left over here. We've just put this down for safety, really, because we're just slipping and sliding everywhere. So that's a job for 2025, to be putting in paths at least as far as the chicken house, coming round and back up to our house. You know, because we're continually working out here, there's always mess, and there's a lot of mess to be tidied up, cleared away. So after the storm, there is more upheaval than ever. But it's springtime. It's Bridget's Eve. La Fela Bridget is tomorrow. So tonight at dusk, that day starts. And we know that, well, in Ireland, that's the time that marks the first day of spring, and the sense of renewal and restarting and fresh beginnings. And that's what it's like here. We've got so many opportunities now to do a lot of change. And so we have our lovely long list of jobs to be doing, which we always have. It's just that we always seem to be adding more to it. And I'll just show you through here where we lost a tree. So it's so funny, because some months back I'd mentioned that we had this giant griselinia. It was about, I don't know, 20 foot tall or so. And I'd mentioned that it was just a little shrub and it had grown very well. And somebody in, I don't know whether it was in Australia or New Zealand, had said, that's not a little shrub, it's a New Zealand or Australian tree which grows up to 60 foot or something. And so I had intended to coppice it down at that point, but of course there's always other jobs in the way. So even though it's very sad, this tree was an incredible, beautiful being. You can see it here, all of these multiple branches. It's been blown over. I haven't been able to cut them all yet. And I'm going to coppice it right down and see if I can get it back into the ground, because we've done that before with trees and shrubs that have been damaged, and they reroot. So possibly it will. But you know, all this now can be used in some way, I hope. But even though it's so sad to see trees, especially really ancient trees, it's so sad to see them go. But it's that time of year when we have to make way for new and fresh, and be hopeful about what's coming. It is the eve of Bridget's Day, and we'll be celebrating that this evening. And so, as I said, it's springtime, it's the new year, really, it's the beginning of the agricultural year. Lots to do in regard to Imbolc celebrations and festivities and traditions. But for today, I'm just going to go and collect some rushes and make some crosses for this evening.
I pick rushes every year to make a Bridget's cross and a little bridge yoke. They're my traditions that I'm trying to continue on with. And I'm just looking at the hives and they're looking really healthy. There's bees at both hives, which is just brilliant to see because we never know are they going to survive the winter or not. And of course, they've survived the storm too. And they're out foraging. We have lots of willow and hazel and alder in this garden, so they'll be going off to the little catkins. Considering the old story that it was Bridget who brought the bees from the other world to this world so that we could have sweetness in our lives, I think it's a really, really good omen for us that the bees are busy today of all days. And I think we can really look forward to positive things this coming year, and that we should be like the kittens, just full of curiosity and joy to be alive. I think it's a good idea to feel as if see everything as if it's really new and you're seeing it for the first time with that air of curiosity and just incredible joy. So I'm going to enjoy my cross making, and I will see you next week and hope you have a wonderful week too. Bye for now.
I hope you enjoyed today's film. If you did, subscribe and hit the bell for notifications. And have a look at the website danusirishherbgarden.com for more information about us and about the herbal medicine courses I offer and the Wise Woman Way training. And if you go to the shop, you can find the books, the weed handbooks and other herbal goodies. And remember, we put a new film out every Sunday. So looking forward to seeing you next week.